There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. A silence that waits for you, like an old friend. For me, that silence has always lived in the forest. Since I was little, the woods have been a place where my breath could soften, where my thoughts could walk alongside me instead of chasing me. The forest raised me in its own quiet way. It taught me to listen, not just with my ears, but with my whole heart. And over the years, I learned that nature doesn't just exist around us, it exists with us, like a gentle companion who never hurries you, never judges you, never asks you to be louder than you are. There are paths I still know by heart, where the air smells like pine resin and old stories, where the roots curl like sleeping animals under the soil, and the leaves whisper things you can only hear when you finally stop trying to listen. I grew up meeting all kinds of little creatures here. Foxes with cautious eyes, deer that watched me from behind branches, birds that felt like tiny messages from another world. Each encounter felt like a blessing, a reminder that the world was gentler than my fears often told me. And sometimes, when the light felt just right through the trees, when the breeze touched my skin in that familiar way, I felt something else. Something I still struggle to put into words. A presence, soft, warm, watchful, like the forest itself was breathing with me. Some people might call it imagination. Others might call it spirits. I don't think the name matters. What matters is that I felt cared for in places where no human hand was holding mine. In European folklore, there are stories of tiny guardians who live between roots and stones, beings of light, small protectors of moss and shadow. I don't picture them exactly as fairies or elves or anything you could draw. It's more like a shimmer, a presence, a gentle something you sense rather than see. When I walk alone in the forest, I like to imagine that they drift just at the edge of my vision, curious, kind, playful, as if they're pleased that someone still believes in them, as if they guide me in their own quiet way toward places where my heart can breathe again. Maybe that's why the woods never felt lonely, not once, not even on the darkest days. Lately, a different kind of beginning has entered my life. Not as wild as the forest and not as ancient, but still quiet in its own way. A new home, a space still learning the shape of my footsteps. I don't have many scenes to show of it yet, just small glimpses, moment of dust, light, and the promise of change. But even in those fragments, I can feel something gentle forming, like a doorway cracked open just enough for a new chapter to breathe through. And maybe that's what growth really is. Not one grand transformation, but a collection of small, ordinary moments that slowly become extraordinary when you finally look back at them. The forest teaches this lesson better than anything. It never rushes, it never forces, it simply changes, quietly, steadily, honestly. The moss doesn't apologize for spreading slowly. The trees don't grieve the leaves they must release. The soil doesn't fear the dark, because it knows that everything that rests there will rise again in time. Nature grows in circles, not in straight lines. And maybe we're meant to as well. Some days we bloom, some days we shed, some days we break open just enough for the light to slip in. Some days we feel held by something we cannot name. Maybe the forest, maybe time, maybe tiny guardians watching from the edges of what we know. And through it all, we are becoming. Not perfect, not finished, just becoming. I think that's the quiet miracle of life, that we can return to ourselves again and again, like the seasons returning to the earth. We change shapes, we drift, we fall apart a little, and yet we keep growing toward the sun, like it's the first time, every time. So if you're watching this from your own place of beginning, or ending, or in between, I hope you remember this. You don't have to know where you're going to be on your way. You don't have to bloom loudly to be growing. You don't have to transform quickly to be changing. Your pace is enough. Your softness is enough. Your new chapter doesn't need to be clean or clear. It just needs to be yours. And as you walk your path, wherever through the forest, through a quiet home, or through the hidden corners of yourself, may you feel the gentle presence that has followed me all my life. A hush, a warmth, a soft watcher in the trees whispering, "You're becoming, you're allowed to begin again, and you are never walking alone."